Right now, high above your head, there's this invisible dance going on. It's this incredible, powerful push and pull between our planet and its star. A cosmic ballet that, believe it or not, shapes our entire world. So let's dive right in.
So here's the big mystery we're going to unpack. We know there's an invisible wind that's constantly blowing from the sun. But how in the world does that wind end up creating one of the most stunning sights on Earth, the aurora? That's the question, and we're about to answer it. All right, first things first. We need to get to know the main players in this story. And it all kicks off with our sun and this constant stream of energy it's always sending our way.
So get this, the sun is always blowing. I'm not talking about wind like we have on Earth, but something called solar wind. It's this nonstop stream of super hot, charged particles. But here's the really crucial part. It doesn't just carry particles. It actually drags the sun's magnetic field along with it, stretching it out across the entire solar system. So what happens when this supercharged magnetic wind slams into Earth? Well, luckily for us, we have our own defense system, the magnetosphere. The best way to picture it is as a protective bubble, or maybe a magnetic shield that wraps around our whole planet. It deflects the worst of that solar wind and, keeps us safe. And that magnetic field that's hitching a ride on the solar wind, it has a name. It's called the Interplanetary Magnetic Field, or the IMF for short. And you're going to want to remember that, because the direction this field is pointing, well, that's the key that unlocks this entire story. Okay, now for the main event. This is the moment these two giant magnetic forces, the sun's and the Earth's, finally meet. This is where the calm breaks, and this powerful connection, kind of like a magnetic handshake, actually takes place. So our shield really only has two settings, calm or active, and it all comes down to the IMF's direction. If the IMF is pointing northward, it lines up perfectly with Earth's magnetic field. And just like two magnets facing the same way, they push each other away. Everything's stable, everything's calm. But when that IMF flips and points southward, their fields are now opposites. And you know what they say about opposites? They attract. Suddenly, they connect and a gateway opens up for all that solar energy to pour right into our shield. This whole process has a really cool name, magnetic reconnection. It starts when that southward-pointing IMF arrives and touches our own magnetic field at its outer edge. That's called the magnetopause. And then, snap, the field lines literally break and then reconnect with each other, creating a direct doorway for all that solar wind energy to come flooding into our protective bubble. So, the gate's been thrown open. All this energy is pouring in. What happens next? Well, our shield really starts to feel the pressure. It actually starts to compress. You can almost picture it like squeezing a balloon. This immense pressure from all that incoming solar wind literally squishes the magnetosphere. It pushes its outer boundary closer and closer to Earth. And hey, this isn't just some abstract cosmic event. It has real-world consequences for us. As that shield gets squeezed, satellites that are normally safe inside can suddenly find themselves outside, totally exposed to harmful radiation. And that can mess with our GPS, our communications, all the technology we rely on every single day. But here's a really strange twist in the story. This whole reaction, this compression of our planet's shield, it's not instant. Nope, there's a delay. A 10-minute delay, to be exact. So why? Why would there be a lag? The solar wind hits, the connection is made, but our planet doesn't even flinch right away. What in the world is going on in those 10 minutes? Well, the answer is pretty wild. It just takes time to build up enough power. That incoming energy has to generate these absolutely enormous electrical currents, and it's only when those currents are strong enough that they can physically push our magnetic shield back. And that 10-minute delay, it's one of the biggest challenges for scientists trying to predict space weather. Okay, so our shield has been squeezed, it's been compressed, and all this energy has been building up this whole time. So what happens when that pressure is finally released? Well, this is the climax of the whole story, the snapback. Sooner or later, the solar wind's magnetic field flips back to pointing northward. That gateway closes, the connection breaks, and just like a stretched rubber band that's finally been let go, the magnetosphere snaps back outward, returning to its original, bigger shape. So there it is, the entire cycle in 4 steps. You start with a calm, stable shield. Then the IMF turns south, which causes that connection and compression. And finally, when the field turns north again, the shield is released and it all snaps back. It's just this continuous, repeating rhythm. But hold on, the story doesn't end with that snap. All of that energy that was stored up during the compression, it has to go somewhere. And this brings us to the absolutely spectacular grand finale. See, as the magnetic field snaps back into place, it flings all that stored energy back towards Earth. It basically acts like a giant cosmic slingshot, accelerating these particles at incredible speeds right down the magnetic field lines, straight toward the North and South poles. And when those supercharged particles finally slam into our atmosphere, it causes the air itself to glow. And that's the aurora. The shimmering greens and reds you see are literally our planet's beautiful, elegant way of safely getting rid of all that pent-up solar energy. And the wildest part of all of this entire process never stops. The solar wind is always blowing, its magnetic field is always shifting. It means our planet's shield is in this perpetual state of flux. It's always compressing and expanding over and over and over again. There's a really beautiful way to think about all this. It's almost like the slow, rhythmic breathing of a living planet. A constant inhale and exhale of cosmic energy. A dance that's been going on for billions of years. So our planet is alive with this magnetic breath, constantly reacting to the sun, which, of course, leaves us with one final fascinating question. If this constant cycle is just Earth's normal breathing, what happens when the sun decides to unleash a truly massive storm?